All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to do our daily Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner update. We got CPI inflation numbers today, so today was a big day for the market. I want to talk about how Bitcoin reacted to that and how Bitcoin miners reacted to that. And I have a new indicator I want to show everybody because it just popped up today for only the third time in the history of Bitcoin. So all that's ahead. Stay tuned. I'm going to try and keep it brief today. If you're new to the channel, we cover Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners all the time on this channel. So please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody please smash the like button, it helps out the channel a lot and I really appreciate it. Okay, today the CPI number came out and it was worse than expected, and it was the worst number in 40 years. So in a lot of ways, I think most people were expecting the market to have a very negative reaction to that and Bitcoin to have a very negative reaction to that. However, that is not the way that has played out today. So it looks to me like a lot of this was already built in over the course of the last month. So last month CPI came in at 8.6, which missed by 0.3%, and that caused a massive downturn in Bitcoin, which we will take a look at. This month the CPI data came in at 9.1%. That also missed by 0.3%. However, I think this time the market was prepared. So I am not expecting the downturn that we had last time. When we get to the chart, I think so far it's playing out that way. Let's start with the Bitcoin big board. Now the trading day is not quite over, so this may change in the last half hour of the day. So if we look at the board, it's a mix of green and red. It was mostly green. Even the ones that are red on the day are down less than 1% for the most part. DigiHost is down 3.67%. That's the worst one on the day. Pretty much everything is down 1% or less. And then the same is true on the green side. Most of the rest of these are green, other than Bit Digital, which is up 3.92%. And I did a video on that earlier today if you want to check that out as well. Most of the rest of these are up between 0 and 1.5%. So I'll let you check the big board for any stocks that you may be invested in. And again, these are not the final numbers for the day, but by and large, this drastically beats the expectation of what people thought would happen if we got a CPI number that started with a 9, and we got one at 9.1. I think it was largely expected that a 9.1 could potentially lead to a disaster type of a day, or at least a lot of downward pressure, and we don't seem to be getting that. So let's go to the Bitcoin chart and see exactly what happened today. Okay, so this candle right here, this big red candle, this was 8:30. This is when CPI data came out. So you can see from 8:30, and this was really in a matter of minutes. This is only a 15-minute candle. Bitcoin immediately dropped $1,000. That was the knee-jerk reaction to a number that was worse than expected. Again, a number that started with a 9, which was not expected. There was a very brief period of shock. We went down over 1,000 points in just 15 minutes, but then you can see that first 15-minute candle, that was the low on the day. The rest of the day, we proceeded to head back all the way back up, basically to where we started before the CPI data was announced. Now, in the last few hours of the day, we've drifted a little bit downward. We've given a little bit of that back. However, you'll see, as always, we have an orange line, which was where Bitcoin was when the equity markets closed yesterday. So Bitcoin was at 19,374. Right now it's at 19,657. So we're actually up quite a bit from yesterday's close. Now, it is not today's close yet, so if something drastic happens in the last half hour, we'll see where that lands. But you can see we quickly got above where we closed yesterday, and we've spent most of the day above that. So I would say this is very positive action on the day. Let's zoom out a little bit and see what things look like. Okay, so this is Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame, and I can tell you why I say that I think this was priced in. If you go back, Bitcoin peaked on July 7th, so that was about 1 week ago, and you can see for the last week it headed down in pretty much a straight line. For whatever reason, yesterday we jumped back up to 20,000, and then of course right at 8:30 this morning, as the CPI was announced, we quickly dropped 1,000 points. You can see on the 4-hour time frame, both of these candles finished above where Bitcoin closed the day yesterday, and this most recent 4-hour candle is a very green candle, so we seem to be headed in the right direction. By the way, the market is also sideways and up a little bit on the day today. It looked like that this CPI data was also built into the equities, and I think we saw that on the Bitcoin miner big board where there was an awful lot of green today. I want to just look at the RSI and the MACD on the 4-hour time frame for a minute, because it does look like there's a potential for a little bit of a recovery rally over the next couple of weeks. And I say the next couple of weeks because we just got our CPI data today. The next big piece of data that we get are the Fed minutes, and that is 2 weeks from today. So we've got about a 2-week window where we could potentially have some relief and a run up, and you're going to see it looks like we're exactly set up to do that. So obviously I don't know if that's going to happen. This is not financial advice, but let me show you what the graphs are showing and the indicators, and you guys can judge for yourself. So you can see on June 30th on the 4-hour time frame, the RSI was oversold for Bitcoin, and over the course of the next week, the RSI had a big run up from oversold all the way to overbought. In that same time frame, you'll see Bitcoin had a 20% run up. So that's what I'm talking about. Some type of relief rally that's 15 to 25%. Those are extremely typical with Bitcoin. So this would be no surprise. It would not necessarily indicate a reversal into a bullish market long term. It just looks like we're set up to maybe have this type of a rally here. And because there's no giant information coming out over the next few weeks until the Fed comes out with whatever their rate hike is, which I think we're all fairly certain is going to be 0.75 or 75 basis points. So if you look at the RSI, we are once again oversold as of a few days ago, and now we seem to be on the rise. So this pattern that played out a couple of weeks ago looks like we may have hit the reset button, and we may be ready to play this out again. Further substantiating that is this is the MACD on the 4-hour time frame. So you can see we are at the verge of a bullish crossover. These two lines are nearly touching. And if we look at the histogram, you'll see we're all the way up to practically 0 on the histogram. This very next candle could very well be a green candle on the histogram. So at which point we will have had a bullish crossover. Now, that is not confirmed yet, so we can't really call it until it happens, but you can see this is on the brink of happening. So what I'm saying is it looks like the perfect setup for a short-term rally. This was a number we had to get past. This CPI number loomed large over the cryptocurrency world and all of the markets. So with that number behind us, and seemingly Bitcoin has digested that, and it has not had a big impact, and all of these trends have continued, it looks to me we look poised to potentially have a nice little run up. Okay, so I circled this candle right here. This was June 10th. This was when we got the CPI data last month. So you can see in the days coming up to that, there was some fear in the market, and we were heading down. The day the CPI came out, we had a big down day, and then from there, we headed down drastically. This was when we headed down from around 29,000 down under 20,000. So obviously there were other variables, but one of the big factors was a catalyst for this was the CPI data last month. So this caught us off guard, and we had a massive pullback. I do think you'll see now this month, today, this candle is a green candle versus this big red candle. And you can see we've been treading sideways for about the last month, and we did have a big pullback in the days coming into the CPI data. So it looks more like to me that this is priced in this time, and we're not going to have a giant reaction to the downside, particularly since a lot of the indicators are showing that we look poised to potentially have a little bit of a run up right now. So we are not yet back over our $20,000 line of support, and that line is just under $20,000. So we're not quite there yet. We're at 19,672 as we speak. So that would be the first thing that we would need to do. It would be nice to see a bullish crossover on the 4-hour MACD. It would be nice to see us get back above our line of support at just under $20,000. I think those things would set us up for potentially, maybe a 20% run up in Bitcoin. I'm just going to show one other indicator because somebody in the Discord asked about this and wanted to know if this was a real indicator, and if so, what does it mean? So I just want to go through this for a minute and show it's rather obscure. Okay, so this is Bitcoin on the 1-week time frame. This is the entire history of Bitcoin. So before I talk about this indicator, I want to say it's rather obscure. It's not really very straightforward, but it is an indicator that's used, and it has flashed twice in the history of Bitcoin. So I just want to say take this with a grain of salt. This is just one indicator among many, many indicators, and any time that you have an indicator that has only been involved once or twice or 3 times, that's a very small sample group. So trying to definitively draw conclusions from that can be very dangerous. Having said that, this is called the Pi Cycle Bottom indicator, and it has flashed 2 times in the history of Bitcoin. This 3rd time was today. So on yesterday's chart, this triangle was not here. These 2 lines crossed today, causing this indicator to flash for only the 3rd time ever. So you will will see that the last two times that this happened, it very much corresponded with the bottom of the bear cycle of the two previous bear cycles. So this one you'll see was in late December of 2018, so that was the bottom of the bear cycle there. And this was in January of 2015, so that was the bottom of the bear cycle there. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit to show you more closely. So here in the 2018 bear cycle, you can see this was literally, this week was the exact bottom. This was the week of December 10th, 2018, and you can see we candle wick down to our very low for that entire bear cycle, or crypto winter if you will, and it was up from there. So then the only other time that this flashed was right here, which was in January of 2015. So this was also basically at the bottom of the bear market. You can see we had this huge pullback from the top to where this indicator flashed was almost 87% pullback. So that was basically the entire bear market slash crypto winter in this cycle. However, if you look at the pi cycle bottom indicator this time, we did have a lot of sideways action after this. So although this did basically mark the bottom, we did have over 6 months of, small bull runs and small bear runs, which were basically very, very sideways. And we did get back and kind of hit the same low all the way out to August of 2015. So although this has happened twice, and both times it happened at the bottom of the bear market, the reactions each of those times was a little bit different. So it has now happened a third time. So I just don't want anybody to think, wow, we can ring the bell, that was the bottom and it's all straight up from here. So I'm going to close it on the 15-minute time frame, and you can see right now we have a little bit of a green candle going. So we're at about 19,650. We're just a few minutes away from the market closing. So almost all of the board is now green. So we'll see if this holds. We're 10 minutes away from the market close. So it looks like we did have an up day. And if I measure from the close on yesterday, which is this orange line, up until where we are right now, we're currently up about 1.5%. Bitcoin is currently up about 1.5%. So it looks like this will end up being a positive day despite the very negative CPI data. So I just wanted to get this update out because that is a lot going on. And obviously the CPI data is a massive, massive influence on the market. So if you made it this far, please remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.